The Great Aussie Hike acknowledges the traditional owners of country throughout Australia and recognise their continuing connection to land, waters and culture. We pay our respects to their elders past, present and emerging, especially the peoples of the GAH Background, who are the traditional custodians of the land on which we will walk on. Thank you everyone for joining us for the evening and for the Great Aussie Hike information session for Daylesford 2025. My name's Luke and I manage the course and operations. I would also like to introduce Anna, who's the founder and program director of the Great Aussie Hike and will also act as our host for this evening. We'll have a questions and answer section at the end of the session, and I'll also be answering any questions on the chat bar as we go along.
So the Great Aussie Hike was developed in 2020 with the aim to keep people connected, staying active in nature and having a goal to work towards to help with their mental health. It began as a one-off to help get us through lockdown, but due to the amazing support from our community and the people asking for a walking challenge with a difference, we continue to develop new and exciting events. We have always been a volunteer-led, not-for-profit organisation with 100% of funds invested into the safety and support of our participants. The Great Aussie Hike embraces the Great Aussie spirit of mates looking after each other. And as we said, we began during lockdown and this is when we needed that more than ever. Our primary aim is for all our participants to develop a range of new habits that ultimately strengthen your mental well-being. We want to impact the impact of your involvement to give you a toolbox of skills that you can use long after you have crossed the finish line. Having a goal is one of the best ways to create these new habits. It begins when you take the first step by registering and locking in the date, and then picking a distance to work or walk towards. Our focus is very much on getting you and your teammates to the finish line to help you feel a sense of achievement that in turn supports your mental well-being. Therefore, we're not a competitive event. It's about you doing your best. And we all work as a community to get everyone to the finish line in some shape or form. The GAH crew are the supporting you both on course and at the wellness stops. You've got the support of your teams while other teams are also helping. And then the support crews help out together, sharing advice, gear, and getting everyone home. This does result in the Great Aussie Hike having a different feel to other events you may have participated in. So let's have a chat about our next great adventure through Daylesford at the start of May. Before we get started, there's a couple of terms that are important to understand. The first one is a wellness stop. At other events, these are commonly referred to as checkpoints, rest stops, and aid stations. This is where we check in with you and see how you're travelling. For the longer distance teams, this is also where you meet up with your support crew. There will be toilets, water refill stations, snacks, first aid and stretching facilities that have massage guns, foam rollers and other tools to help maintain your physical condition along the way. Some wellness stops will also have allied health support such as physiotherapy, massage and podiatry to help attend to any hotspots you may develop as you walk along. The second term we want you to know is course section, and this is the distance of the course between two wellness stops. For our walk through Daylesford, there are 8 different course sections and they range between 8 kilometres to 15 kilometres in length. So basically that's how far you'll have to walk before you have a rest. Here's the map of the day 1 course. So here there are 4 course sections, which is the bit between the 3 wellness stops and then getting to the finish line. So that distance to that distance there would be your course section. Course sections and wellness stops are terms that we're going to use a lot tonight, so they're really important that you understand. Now that we do understand these, there are 3 different distances for your team to choose from this year. The challenge is spread over 2 days of 50 kilometres each. So our 100-kilometre teams would participate on both days, while those who want to do the 50-kilometre distance can either choose to participate on day 1 or can choose to participate on day 2. The 150-kilometre teams all require a minimum of 5 team members. But yes, you can have more than 5 people in your team if you wish. It's just the minimum. The 30-kilometre challenge will run on day 2, being the Saturday. 30-kilometre teams require a minimum of 3 team members. Again, you can have more than 3, but you must have 3. because we're out of the deep bush areas and into more safer areas around Daylesford. The 30-kilometre teams are allocated different wave start times. These times are based on when your team has registered all 3 members. Again, you can add more people later on, but we'll take the date from when you've got those 3 registered. So it's really important, if you want to get in early and get an early start time, that you get your team organised nice and quickly. For the longer distances, which are the 100 and the 50-kilometre teams, you have 2 team options to choose from. The first one is walk the distance. And this is where there's 4 team members who walk the entire distance, either 100 kilometres or 50 kilometres. And there is a 5th team member who is a support crew for the entire challenge. As mentioned previously, additional walkers are permitted in the team to be walking on the course. The second option is to be a share the distance team. This is where there's at least 5 team members. However, you don't have 5 people on course. You still have the 4 people on course. 1 person as the support crew for each of the course sections we were talking about, but you can alternate who does this. So this means that there might be somebody in your team who wants to walk all 100 kilometres, or there might be somebody in your team who only wants to do a little bit, 1 section each day. It just means with Share the Distance, you can have lots of different team members of different fitness abilities that are all able to be part of the team and participate and have a great time. So each of our course sections has a minimum number of walkers your team must have on course. These are determined by the risk and safety factors for each of these sections. For example, the first section, we have an area with very poor reception for about 5 kilometres. So this is where we really need you to have 4 people on course, stuff that we'll talk about closer to the day in our safety briefing. But this is why we determine these numbers. It's all based on your remoteness, what the track quality is like, how much reception we have. So to be clear again, this is the minimum number that you can have. Sometimes teams are confused by this if they've got a team of 6 or 7 people. They can again have enough people, but you must just have someone sit out and be a support crew for each section. So in a Share the Distance team, this is an example of how your team might work. It's not how you have to do it. It's just a bit of an example. As you can see with this, we're looking at the minimum numbers. So for the first section, your team must have 4 people on course and 1 person who's the support crew. But towards the end of second day, when everyone's getting a bit tired, you might only have the 2 or the 3 people on course and somebody else is taking an extra rest. Again, it's just about what's working right for you, your teammates, and what you want to do. Some team members can walk further, some people can walk less. You're a team. It's about you guys getting to the finish line safely, and we're happy to support you in whatever plan you choose to do for that. Here's an example of how we had a 13-year-old be part of a 100-kilometre team a couple of years ago. He trained to complete 20 kilometres each day, but the adrenaline kicked in and he ended up walking an extra 30 kilometres over the 2 days. He sat out the harder sections, especially with the larger inclines, and walked all of the flatter, shorter sections that allowed him to have bigger breaks. He checked in with his first aid and allied health at the wellness stops to make sure that he was progressing well. He kept up good hydration and nutrition throughout the challenge. And he listened when the professionals said he'd had enough. His contribution also meant that the other team members had the chance to have a rest during the section, which enabled their entire team of all different ages and fitness levels to get across the finish line. And most importantly, he and his dad loved their chats while training on the course. The Share the Distance page on our website has a video and some further details you can read to see if this team option is the right fit for you. Another really important part about Share the Distance is it does mean that people who are struggling to get that team together of the 5 people, it may be easier for you to find friends, family, colleagues who want to come along. They might be daunted by 100 Ks, but they're like, hey, I can walk 10 Ks each day and help you guys out. Therefore, on this page, there's some tables that are available to download to help you plan how your Share the Distance team might work. It's a really handy tool if you're putting your team together and helping those prospective teammates who might be a little bit worried understand when they'd be walking, how many hours breaks they get each day, what they need to train, and just help them realize that there is a way for everyone to participate in some shape or form. One of the hardest working members of all of our teams are the support crew. They're a really important part of your team structure. helping with transportation of team members and all your gear from the start, the finish, and in between your wellness stops. They play an important safety role if we do need to do a course evacuation. They will help with to collect any injured team members or people who are really tired and take them off the course. They can then come and collect them and get them to the nearest wellness stop for further assistance from our allied health. They assist with team logistics like checking in and out of accommodation, preparing your meals, or simply buying something you're craving. Lots and lots of phone calls for salt and vinegar chips towards the end of the day. Trust us, you're going to love your support crew and having that help to get you to the finish line. Again, your team might be walk the distance and you've just got an exclusive support crew person helping you for your entire distance, or you might have all your team members taking a turn at being support crew and also having a turn on course. For those people who are still looking for a team, we do have the Great Aussie Hike community teams available to join. This is where you're grouped with other single walkers to form a team. Just please make sure you read through how these teams work on our website before signing up to make sure it's the right fit for you. Some people do think that this means that they can walk alone, and it's important to know that no, you're still going to be part of a team. We're just helping you find a team if you don't have any if you don't have any friends and family who like to go for really long walks in beautiful bush locations. We have a community team set up for the 100-kilometre distance, and then we've got one for the 50-kilometre team on day 1 and another for the 50-kilometre on day 2. If you're signing up for the 30-kilometre team, please be aware that there are 3 different team options based on your walking speed. This just helps us group people together of a similar pace to help make the team more successful on the day. For further details, visit the community team page on our website under the participant info menu. The second option to be able to participate if you don't have any team members is to join our volunteer crew, who are an absolutely amazing group of people. How this works is that you volunteer one of the 2 days in a course support role, and then you get a free registration to participate on the alternate day, be it 50 or 30 kilometres. For your time on course as a participant, you'll then be in a team with other volunteers that you've worked with on that day, the day when you volunteered. For anyone wanting to do the 100-kilometre distance and they still want to volunteer and get the free registration, there are opportunities in some of our course sweeper roles. For further details, you can visit the page on our website and apply to be one of our volunteers. So now that we understand how the challenge and the teams work, let's have a look at our gorgeous course. Further details on each course section can be found on our website under the participant info menu. I'd like to start off though, before Luke gets too much into it, is to remember that we're all here because we love walking in nature. However, nature can and does change, and there's still a number of months before we hit the course on the 2nd of May. Different weather events can occur that mean a part of our proposed route gets closed. When this occurs, we either plan a detour around the affected section, or if this affects the feel of the event too much, such as there's too much footpath walking, we may rewrite the entire section to make sure we're back on bush tracks. Sometimes there's also a course change because the trail that was closed reopens, and that might be our preferred route. There is some parts of this course, because we did it last year, that ended up being closed and we had to change for last year. At the moment, they're on track to open some of those trails in January, which means that there will be some changes to the course that we have advertised now, but it's for the better. So just be aware that everything we put here, we're flexible, we work with nature. We are in a stunning region that has lots and lots of options. We always go to places where we do have backups, and we've probably got 3 or 4 different courses written to make sure we can get out and do the full distance on the day. But just be really flexible to go. We're working with nature, and we're always going to put forward the best possible course available on that day.
Here's just a few flashes, photos from what the first day bush is like.
Lots of diversity, but
amazing.
Absolutely stunning.
Yeah. So basically day 1 starts in the beautiful little town of Blackwood. The majority of the day you're walking through the bush tracks and the remote fire trails of the Wombat State Forest. And then you head back up into just on the very edge of Daylesford at the Daylesford Showgrounds. Absolutely stunning ground and to cover on this one. A few little hills, but some beautiful creeks, and you're just walking basically in the bush the entire day. So it's almost 50 k's.
However, considering our last walk in September was in the Blue Mountains, this would almost consider this course flat compared to there.
Exactly. Very much so. But look, it's an absolutely stunning and beautiful day to be out there in this one. Day 2 has the 50 kilometres start and walking around the gorgeous Moorabool Reserve reservoir.
That's really gorgeous at sunrise with the sun coming up over the reservoir.
Yeah, it's beautiful up through there. Then we're heading north along the Wallaby track up towards Daylesford, and I'll talk more about the end of this day just a second. But after on the Wallaby track, you'll join the 30-kilometre walkers just near the Jubilee Lake Wellness Stop.
Well,
so you've covered about 30 k's before you join them.
So the 30 k's get a little bit of a sleep in, then they come from the start line and come down to join our 50 k's and 100 k's, don't they?
Yeah. So our 30-kilometre will start and finish at the Daylesford Showgrounds. This really does help because it makes it easy for the transportation, as they can park right at the what's the start line, and also happens to be the finish line, and you walk and end up back at your car.
Which is really important because, again, the 30-kilometre teams don't have that support crew driving around to help them. So it's really great to be able to park and come back to your car.
And I'll just add on to that one, that's not an out and back track, it's a big loop track. It's absolutely stunning. Yeah. The walkers will then be heading up and around the beautiful Lake Jubilee and through the surrounding bushlands of that area before joining the 50-kilometre walkers just before their first wellness stop, which is about the 10 k's. The final 20 kilometres for everyone on this day, it travels through the back streets of Daylesford, just as a little bit of transverse area, and then up into the Hepburn.
Through all the historic churches. And,
it's a beautiful little spot, beautiful little town if you've ever visited. If not, it's a great way and great time to do. So up through those, up into the Hepburn Springs Spa region, very famous area, and that's going up via the Hepburn Regional Park. And it finishes back at the showgrounds after taking in the picturesque Lake Daylesford as you come back through.
Do you find the Hepburn Regional Park flora is quite different to what they've experienced when they're down into the Wombat State Forest?
Very much so. Look, the Hepburn Regional Park is quite a bit of a drier looking, but it's really Australian bush setting. So it's absolutely beautiful up through there. Head past a dam wall and back up into, just those spa regions.
It's lovely popping out then at Hepburn Springs, isn't it?
Oh, it is. It is. And if you're really ambitious, you can try the spring waters at the springs there.
So, Luke, if you're saying that we've already got the 100 and the 50 kilometres on course, then the 30 kilometres come and join. Does that mean we've got everybody shoulder to shoulder and we're all bunched together and it's very crowded on the tracks?
Not at all. We plan the 30k start time so that most of these walkers will stay ahead of the longer distance teams. This just means that everyone will be quite spread out over the sections and that there isn't much crowding on course.
So again, for anyone who would like to look into the course further, the maps, the gradients and the section distances are all on our website under the course page, which again is under the participant information menu. So Luke, before we go too much further, the biggest question everyone usually has for us, we get lots of emails and DMs and everything, is how hard is the course?
It is a very interesting question because everyone is very different in the way they look at this. But whenever I'm out there looking over and writing courses, I have in my mind, could my 70-year-old mother walk this part or get up this incline? Where we are very lucky and blessed with the terrain and having many options out there to walk on the tracks. So we're finding the trails that are the best ones for us to be on. And we more focus on the challenge being the distance you walk rather than throwing lots of curveballs at you along the way. So we're not trying to get you and find the steepest hills or the roughest tracks. We're trying to actually, we'll just really look for the nicest ways and the trails to be on.
So you're saying that you're mainly sticking to good walking trails. They're not going to have been rugged bushwalkers and really be able to transverse rough terrain?
No, look, we're staying on to some very nice walking trails with this one, where there's trying to stick away from anything that is worse than that. And it is actually a really nice trail. There will be a few spots where there's a few places where the majority of the hike is on bush tracks and fire trails, so quite easy to walk. There are a few places where the teams will be next to roads or on paths as we transition between bush sections. When you are on a footpath or walking through the historical town of Daylesford, as we mentioned before, and it's absolutely beautiful there.
To say we don't get many complaints about walking around Daylesford.
Not at all.
But thanks for that, Luke. But again, if you've got any questions, make sure you ask Luke now. He has gone out and done this particular course quite a few times. I'd say you've done it 9 or 10 times now, and he'll probably get a few more under his belt before May. So he's definitely the person to ask questions. You do end up getting a lot of things about shoes and water levels and all that sort of stuff. So he knows it very, very well, and he's here to help you while you're preparing. And speaking about how you're preparing, let's run through some of the bits and pieces that you do get from us, just to make sure that you're challenge day ready. We appreciate how busy everyone is at this time of year. So there's one program that's currently running from the time that you register, and it's available now, and it's just to help you start building up your walking fitness, what you can, lots of Christmas parties, end of school year, everything that's going on. So it's just start focusing on getting that walking fitness. Don't stress too much about May just yet. In the new year, when everyone's highly motivated by their resolutions, we introduce the Challenge Day training program, and where there's additional elements such as strengthening exercise to prepare you for an endurance event are added. These are important for all distances, 150 and 30-kilometre teams to do. They are designed to only take 5 to 10 minutes a couple of times a week, but that is what helps your muscles and your body prepare to be able to do such a long day of walking, or for the 100 Ks, the 2 days. And it means that you don't have to go out and do 8 hours of walking to train every single weekend. The strengthening will really accelerate that. So we can't stress enough how important it is to do that, but that will all be prepared and there and very simple for you to follow. When you register, all participants receive access to a training dashboard, and this is where we continue to add loads of resources in the lead up to Challenge Day. There's everything from your training program to how to prepare videos, and you're really organised for May. In addition, you'll also receive a comprehensive participant info guide next February. This is where we provide step-by-step logistical guidance for your Challenge Day experience. It will include everything you need to know, from what to pack, to where to park, and to how to avoid getting lost on course. Everything is jam-packed into that. We don't give that to you for a little while because, again, it can be a lot when you sign up on the first day. And this is more when you're into the training, getting ready and starting to think, okay, now it's time to prepare. For those who are interested in fundraising, your training dashboard also has a fundraising page set up for you. There's no compulsory fundraising as part of our challenge or minimum amount you need to raise to participate. You can choose to fundraise for a charity connected with the Great Aussie Hike, or you can have a cause close to your heart that you would like to support. Importantly, 100% of donations are deposited directly to the charity's bank account the moment they are made. They don't come through us. We don't take a percentage. We don't take a fee. We get lots and lots of questions about this. This is directly into their account, and it's just another way that you can use this, this event and your participation and your team's experience to support your mental well-being and the community by doing something where you're thinking beyond self, and going, hey, family and friends, this is amazing how far I'm walking. 30, 50 or 100 kilometers is all an extraordinary distance. Can you throw me a couple of dollars? And that is just adds to that extra little momentum and feel when you cross the finish line that you've been able to help others with your journey as well. With all that said, our biggest tip will always be to enjoy your challenge experience. This includes training walks and lots of laughs with your mates, picking a team name, potentially having a weekend away, spending time exploring a gorgeous part of Australia. This is not a competitive race. The focus is on you achieving something amazing with your family and friends while creating some fantastic memories along the way. So we would love you to come and join the fun. As we've said, we're a little bit different from other events, so we do find the Great Aussie Hike attracts the most fabulous, supportive, fun and determined participants around. There is wonderful camaraderie, especially amongst the 100-kilometre teams, as we really do all work together to get everyone to the finish line. We're currently running our early bird discounted sale until December 8th. So if you do want to sign up, please make sure you grab that $60 discount and get your registration in before that date. it is important to remember that your whole team doesn't have to have registered for you to get that discount. You have until the end of February, I think, for your team to be. I don't have the off the end off the top of my head. So you've got lots of times for your teammates to sign up, but if you can get organized nice and early, you get to save $60, which is a huge saving for anybody. We also have the option to pay by 4 installments. So as long as you've paid the first installment by December 8th, and it can be right on December 8th, you then have the other 3 installments every fortnight after that, which means that you get the discounted price, but you don't have to pay the other installments until, you know, there's even a couple after Christmas, which can be great for this time of year. But again, as long as you've got that first one and you've registered by December 8th, you will get the discounted rate across all your payments. For those who are wanting to register, it's super easy via our website. If you're paying in full, simply choose the distance and the team option on the registration page. If you're the first member of your team to sign up, you'll become the team captain. And so you click Start a Team. If you're already joining a team that somebody else has set up, click Join a Team button. You then enter the team name and just complete the registration form questions. They're very basic and very straightforward. If you'd like to avoid the registration platform fees, please make sure you untick the box at checkout. It does say help with fundraising costs. There is no help that anybody gets from ticking those. It is just the registration platform, the way they make money. So feel free to untick it. You're not disadvantaging us or a charity. However, if you are paying via installments, make sure when you go to the registration page, you need to click on the orange installment button first and complete this payment form. You'll then receive an email instruction on how to complete your registration. If you go through and pay in full, we're not able to refund you and then start an installment. So make sure that orange button. So as we finish off our presentation, we'd like to give you one of our favorite pieces of wisdom. At the Great Aussie Hike, you'll go far, but we will do this together. You will have our support throughout the training journey, and on challenge day, we'll be beside you every step of the way. We always say, you get yourself to the start line, and then it's our job to get you to the finish line. It's a wonderful experience, and we would absolutely love you and your mates to come join the fun. We'll now stay online for anyone who has any questions, or alternatively, if you would like it to be a little bit private, feel free to email hello@greataussiehike.com.au, and then we can answer those in private and send them back to you. Have you got any questions to read out for us, Luke? Because usually if someone asks the question, it definitely means that there's usually a few more people who would be wondering as well.
Yeah, so Rachel quickly asked, I did write this one in the questions, but I'll answer it anyway here. If you want to do the 50 km challenge, which day would you pick as the best track, or does it not matter so much? As I've mentioned there, Rachel, it really doesn't matter much. Sometimes it's about availability because the Friday, the first day is on the Friday.
We often get people who are workplace teams. So if it's a bunch of colleagues, they like to do the Friday because they get the day off work and they do it together and fundraise for a cause. And that's great. Other people, they can't get the day off work, so they want to do the Saturday.
Yeah.
I would say Friday is all day in Wombat State Forest, and smaller bush wellness stops.
Yep.
On Saturday, it's half the day in Wombat State Forest, so you're still getting very similar experience there. But then you get to also include for the second half of the day the walk around historical Daylesford up to Hepburn Springs through the regional park and stuff up there. So day 2 would be a split. Would be
diverse.
It would be diverse. But saying that, Friday deep in Wombat State Forest. Friday will also be a quieter day. So if you prefer to have less teams around, more of our attention, Friday is a quieter day as well.
Yeah. All right, another one up here from. Sorry, just getting to it. Mel, if you're doing the 30 kilometers, we will have a support person. Do you need to register for the 30 kilometers as they aren't actually required?
No, we don't have 30 kilometer teams register a support crew.
No, that's right. Yeah. Kylie, is it possible to have 2 support crew? We have a team of 7 walking the distance. We'll probably need for transport. Kylie, definitely, we would always suggest that. Part of the support crew role is for emergency evacuation of the course. Not that we've ever had to do it, just but it's always good to have that extra support crew in just
Let's just say
make
that.
sure.
And of course, evacuation's highly unlikely.
Very much,
but with that, it's also then nice sometimes for the support crew that they've got a friend for the day.
Exactly.
As well, there are just a couple of parking issues and stuff like that, but that's all stuff that we talk to you about in the safety briefing and stuff like that closer to the day. In those bush settings, it might be that you've got 2 cars at some places, 1 at others. You know, you do a bit of juggling, but that's all stuff we talk to you about down the track. You only need 1 registered for us. We just need 1 number of somebody to call. But of course, you can always have somebody else come and keep them company.
Okay.
Somebody's asking if we do the Zoom again. We don't. We find what works best for us is we do 1 live. It's all recorded, and then we put it on YouTube, all over our website, and we send it out to everybody via email. Life's really busy. It was even funny tonight. We booked this in, and then I got a notice 2 weeks ago there was a parents' night at my kids' school that I've quickly done and come back to this. So it's just we do it once live, and then people can just watch it at their own convenience. And again, with those people, they just miss out, I guess, on the live questions, but we can always answer things by email.
Yeah, exactly. All right, Elena, what time does the 100K start each morning? And is there a time by which you have to reach the end? The 100K starts where we start in about at 6:30 each morning.
Basically, as soon as there's enough light, we get you down the road.
Get you started as soon as there's enough light, especially that time of year. We do have into each wellness stop by a certain time. And with that, it's also suggestions of the amount of time you're in those wellness stops, just to keep you on track throughout the day. And we will keep an eye on you throughout the day.
You really want to be aiming to do it in less than 12 hours.
For the 50.
Yeah. Some people like that also means that if you do take an extra hour, also like there is time before you do get to those cutoffs. But I always strongly suggest people are working towards 12 hours. That includes your rest times. So that's where you want to be really clear. Like a lot of teams get themselves in trouble if they go and sit down for 2 hours at lunch. Number one, then they're chasing the clock for the rest of the day. It also slows their body down. We would suggest try and keep your stops to that 20 to 30 minutes. Even if you've got to stop halfway through a section and have a little 5-minute rest, in the bush, something like that, that's much better than stopping for 2 hours. Really pace yourself to be trying to be walking at a minimum of 4Ks an hour. That's just a really good place to be training and working towards. Obviously, some people go faster. Don't stress about that. But your training goal should really be, you only want to be out there for 12 hours. May could be beautiful weather. May could be raining all day. You don't want to be out there you don't want to be out there for 16, 17 hours. Yeah, really walk towards that 12 hours. Again, that end of day is when we have already probably been chatting to you and going, this is when we think you're getting in and stuff like that. We've never had a case, Blue Mountains was different, but we've never had a case in Victoria where we've really had to be forceful. Everybody really gets home.
Everyone's really in that.
And those last teams we're out there, our course sweepers are with them. We've usually got one of our people out there because it's dark by that stage, and we are getting you home. As long as it's safe, we will leave you out on course and get you home safely. So it's not a watch the clock be too stressed, but it's about safety. And if you're out there too long, that's when other problems start happening.
Yeah. So we basically look after you all the way through that and make sure everything, and we'll be talking to you all, to everyone all throughout the day to check in.
Yeah, and we want people to be able to cross the finish line and enjoy it and celebrate, not be so exhausted that missing things that you're falling over and not getting to enjoy that celebration.
Karen, now, if you want to join a team, do we need to register then find a team, or the other way around? Okay, so Karen, if you're going through the registration, it'll ask you for a team to join as you're going through. The community team is the base. If you don't have a team currently.
So yeah, if you're joining the community team, you just do that when you register. When it says join a team, you would join the team. And again, if you go to the find a team or the community teams page on our website. It'll tell you the name of the team for all the different distances to type in there. And that's what you type in. So you must, when you register, be part of a team. So there's the option to do the community team, or if you've got your other team, you can start the team. The first person starts the team and then other people can join.
Yeah. Mel, you've asked, will the trail be well signed or so don't go off track? We do put a lot of signage out there and we try and keep everyone on track as best we can. And we also will have phone maps for you to be following as well. As it is nature, sometimes things change with the course, but yeah, basically, when we also track you as you're going with the radios that we have. So you can actually see what's happening and where you are. So if you are off course at any stage, we can find you very easily.
We sit in the event control center. Someone is watching you for the whole time. We did have an incident last year where the first team, for some reason, they were being very lovely. They thought there was an arrow in the wrong place. So they changed it, which the arrow was in the right place. They were reading their maps incorrectly. So then they sent a few teams behind them off course before we figured out what was going on. But it was really great because we were sitting in the event control center. We were on the phone. We're like, hey guys, we got people straight out to them. But again, they were quite close to Daylesford by that stage. We could go turn left here and turn back and you're on it. So we do have eyes on you. It is fairly heavily marked.
Yes.
We've never had anyone get really, really lost. So there's arrow signs. Usually the trail, if you're going to go off the trail, you're in the bush. And we have things like yellow ribbons and stuff like that. So it's really follow those.
Yeah, it is made to be easy to follow throughout the day.
And we also know that you get tired. So sometimes just seeing those yellow ribbons is just great assurance that you're on the right track.
Yeah. And we'll have people out there as well.
Yes, lots of course marshals. We said our wonderful volunteers are out there keeping an eye on you, and especially any spots that we think there's two ways and people might get a bit lost. That's where we'll actually stick a volunteer to make sure you choose the right adventure.
Exactly. All right. So is there any other questions?
Somebody's asked about pricing. There is lots of different pricing because, again, we're in early bird now. We've got lots of different distances. There's also different pricing for walk the distance teams and share the distance teams because obviously the walk the distance do the full distance, the share the distances do they get it a bit cheaper because they don't walk the whole way. So it's best to go to the website. I can't remember, there's 15, 20 different prices.
And it's all in that table there, and you can see what it is. The currently the early bird sale is automatically off the price.
Yes.
As you go through to register.
Yep.
Yeah. One new message, sorry. No, that's okay. If there's any other questions, even if you want to unmute yourself to ask a question, feel free.
Well, if that's all for the questions, we will wrap it up. Thank you so much for everyone for joining us tonight. We're very excited to see you out there. This is an absolutely amazing course. We have a lot of fun.
We do. We do
have a lot of fun. Lots of surprises for you on the day.
As Doc AY said at the very start, as he's written there, this is just what he's written. You guys do an incredible job. Did the hike last year, one of the best I've ever done, and have done many fundraising hikes. Thank you all for your work.
Thank you very much. Very nice.
Yeah, so we do try and do the best for everyone out there, and
the participant
really
experience is important to us.
Really important to us. So yeah.
But thank you so much, guys. And again, any questions you've got, just send us an email, hello@greataussiehike.com.au. And we can get back to you if it is easier. We are, as we said, we're volunteers. So it's not like we have a big office with people manning phones all the time, but we can always organize a time. Sometimes it is easier for us to go, hey, jump on a call. We can get on something, time that suits you and talk through things. Because yes, a lot of people have questions and they're like, how to share the distance work and stuff like that. We can organize a time to help you get there, sort out your mates and come join us for a lot of fun. Thanks, everyone.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.